Chapter 9. We should run. The words fill my mind as the priest throws holy water on Don Flicio's coffin. Neighbors slide it into its vault. Don Augustina holds her rosary and wails. Yesterday at his wake, she told me to run. Yesterday, Pequeña had told us to run too. Today my eyes scan the cemetery looking for Ray or Nestor, and all I can think about is running. The crowd disappears. Another day, another death, another body. When we get home, Mama sinks into the couch, exhausted. My mind thinks, my mind sees the red velvet cushions, blood red. So much blood. We should run. You and Chico go rest, she says, pulling up her legs and lying down without bothering to change out of her black dress. I'm going to stay here for just a little while. Close and lock the door. Chico gets up from where he was sitting in the doorway, and I do as Mama says. He heads to our room, and I follow. There is a heaviness in the air, pressing down on us. The thought of my own feet sounds terrible, but as I walk past Mama, she reaches for my arm and grabs it. Pulga, she says. The force of her touch and her voice startles me. I look at her tired face, and she says, Te quiero mucho, Pulguita. I know, Mama, I love you too. But there is something else she wants to say, and doesn't. And there's something else she wants to say, and doesn't. I can see it on her face. She just nods. Let's go on off my arm. Let's go off my arm, and closes her eyes. I stand there just for a moment, wondering if Donna Augustina told her about the dreams she had. Or maybe Pequeña said something. Maybe Mama is starting to believe in brujas and superstitions. Maybe I should too. Maybe Mama will even tell me I should run, because it's the only way. That I have her blessing. That she understands broken promises. Instead, she takes a deep breath, lets it out, and I go to my room. Chico has the fan on the high setting, and it whirs loudly. I close the door even though it keeps the room hotter. Well, Chico asks as I enter. He is fidgety and restless. The brown stripes on his shirt makes his skin perfectly. The brown stripes on his shirt match his skin perfectly. I stare out the window. I don't know, I tell him. I haven't told him what Donna Augustina told me, but the strange things Pequeña said put him on edge. He hasn't been able to sit still since. And even here, he seems to be looking over his shoulder. She said something bad was going to happen. To us, Pulga. Something bad is going to happen to us. I don't say anything. I try to stay calm. Holy shit, Chico whispers, making my heart beat faster. I look out the window, expecting to see Ray standing there with a gun, pointing right at us. There is no one there. When I turn back to Chico, he is looking at me strangely. You believe her, don't you? I think of the book I keep under my mattress. Information I've collected over the last years of how to get to the States. Notes, printouts, the train, La Bestia. I think of my tia in the United States sends money for me every year, and Mama only gives me $5 or $10 before saving the rest for me in the hiding place. I think of how I know the hiding place. How I know that Tia's phone number and address. Have memorized both. How I know that Tia's phone number and address. Have memorized both. How I know where to exchange dollars to quetzales and pesos, and have already done so with those bills Mama has given me each time. Just in case, but I don't like the terrified look on Chico's face. The one that confirms that we're both afraid to believe. I shake my head, my heart is racing, and it feels hard to breathe, but I tell myself it's just the heat. You know what? The baby has Pequeña all messed up. I tell Chico, that's all. She's not herself. All we have to do is act normal. The lie spills from my mouth, but they taste better than the truth. He closes his eyes and tears stream down his face. Even if Ray thinks we saw something, I continue, or know something, he'll keep an eye on us. And when he sees we're acting normal, that we haven't told anyone anything, he'll leave us alone. Chico opens his eyes. They're red and watery and unconvinced. He wipes at them roughly, but tears keep streaming down his face. I sit down next to him on his mattress, put my arm over his shoulders. It'll be okay, Chico, I promise. But Pulga, it's all going to be okay. He stares at me for a moment, and I will myself too believe it so. He will too. And I will myself too believe it so. He will too. Maybe I can believe it. Maybe if I believe it, it will be true. Come on, you trust me, don't you? I promised you it'll be okay. After a while he says, okay, guilt washes over me, but I push it away. If you say so, Pulga, okay? All we have to do is act normal, okay? He nods again. Okay. We saw nothing, Chico. Just remember that. We went there, we grabbed a soda, and we headed back home. By the time what happened, we were far away from there. We were never there, Chico. We saw nothing. He takes a deep breath. We saw nothing. That's right. I tell him we saw nothing. I grab hold of these words, so they will force out thoughts of running. Maybe I can put my faith into these words instead. Maybe I can tell these words to save us. The fan words and catches our words. We saw nothing, we saw nothing, we saw nothing. Those words circled around us the day after Don Felicio's funeral, and the day after that, and the day after that. For over a week, Chico and I go on as normal. We head to school even though all I do is watch the door, waiting, barely able to tell. One day apart from another, we saw nothing. We take no detours. We look over our shoulders every 5 minutes. We saw nothing. We repeat those words in our heads, so much that we hear them in the thud of our footsteps. On the way home from school, we hear them as we walk past Don Felicio's store, which doesn't even exist anymore, all boarded up, the way it is. We saw nothing. We repeat them so much. We repeat them so much that we almost believe them, and we start to believe maybe we've escaped. Maybe we've escaped. Maybe we'll be okay. But then one morning we're headed to school, and my breath catches. I see that car barreling toward us once more. It grinds to a stop quickly, spraying dirt and dust on Chico and me. The same car Ray and Nestor drove the other day. Get in, Nestor calls to us as we're trying to wave away the dust from our faces. It gets caught in my lashes, and I can taste it. Nestor is alone, but he's positioned the car to block our way. No, we're okay, thanks, I say, grabbing onto Chico's shoulder and starting to walk around the car. You think I'm offering you a ride? I said. Get in. He puts his hand on a gun lying on the passenger seat. I look at Chico and he looks back at me. His eyes are frantic, and I think Chico might run. I can feel my own legs wanting to run, but there's something else in my brain holding me back, not letting me move. Maybe it's remembering how Nestor picked on everyone as soon as he grew a few inches. Maybe it's the way he looked at Ray a few years ago, when Ray said he should have taken care of me and Chico himself. Maybe it's knowing how eagerly Nestor is trying to prove himself. I look back to see if anyone will see me and Chico getting in the car. People talk about how Nestor is following in his brother's footsteps, and the same is thought of anyone who's seen either of them. Go ahead, I say quietly to Chico. I can see the fear threatening to choke him. I can feel it rising in my throat, like bile, but we both get in. And that's when I know this isn't going to go away. Ray and Nestor found out something. They know we know. It was them at Don Felicio's store. And now they've come for us. Fate is fate. And this, it turns out, has been our fate. The thing is, I guess I've always known it would be. And still, I lied to myself. Even if Mama thinks I have an artist's heart, even if I try to see the world in color, even if I dare to dream, it doesn't matter when your world keeps turning black.